for my life at the moment. Shifts are constantly happening. Tim Marvel is a veteran of the U.S. Naval Submarine Service. He's a speaker, author, and consultant. He has received the Certified Speaking Professional certification from the National Speakers Association, and this is their highest earned designation. He has over 40 years of sales, management, and consulting experience, and Tim believes in meeting people where they are. He believes family first, enjoys travel with his wife, and meeting new people. Let's welcome Tim Marvel.
Yay. Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Zoom viewing, I'm going to give you an idea of what might be the best viewing for you. I'm going to pull up my slide. I'm going to try to share my screen. But if you guys will go to the side-by-side view, so if you go up in the top right corner, you should be able to get a click and get the side-by-side view, and then you want the gallery view. Let me get set up. Of course, things are in my way here, sorry. I'm going to direct you to a tool is where I'm headed. It doesn't exist. Technology is the challenge for virtual meetings. Okay, so everybody should see, if you're in that view, you should have me on one side, and there's actually a bar, and you can change the size of either side. Is that what y'all see? Okay. Shift is going to happen, right? I mean, we talked about it. Shift is going to happen, and you need to be prepared. So what I want you to do for me is, before we start, is think back to your last meeting when you were live. And I want you to think about that morning as you got ready and maybe the thoughts that were going through your mind. You see, you were going to go to this meeting and you were going to connect with some individuals, some of your friends. Maybe you were going to meet some new friends. But it was about that connection. And then it happened. We had this shift. You see, it's different even for speakers. So you see, normally I would go to a meeting 30, 45 minutes early because I would get to interact with people and I would get to know you a little bit more. And one of the challenges of virtual is, how do we still find those connections and how do we build those relationships? Because it's different. So I'm going to use a little bit of technology. If you see on your screen, I'd like for you to take your phone and log into, on the browser, into menti.com. And I'll give you a second to do that. So grab your smartphone, if you have a smartphone. If you have a flip phone, you can probably do it on your computer if you can split your screen, but it's more difficult. So give me a thumbs up once you have menti.com up so that I know. I see one, but I don't have very big. I see another. Do we need longer? Okay, so it should be asking you for a code right now. So the code is 416503. And you should see the same slide that you see on your computer right now. So for those of you that are having to go virtual, I will be happy to spend a few minutes and show you how this menti.com works when we're off of this meeting but we're all looking for ways to engage with people. And this might be a fun tool. I use it because it's colorful and it's interactive. It's anonymous, so we don't know who's putting what in, because this isn't about pointing fingers at people. This is about connecting and getting people engaged. So what I want to do is, let's see how it works. So simple question, what's your job title? And if you have more than one job title, go ahead and you can plug in multiple answers. Just go ahead and plug them in and watch what happens. This is kind of cool. Oh, there's a realtor. You guess who that is? Executive director. Okay. Owner. I see. Okay. You notice how owner's a little bit bigger? So there's more than one owner in the room. Community director. Okay. What's a DRIM? Okay. You like how that works? See, that's kind of engaging. So again, if you're, a lot of you guys are business managers and so on in business, this tool might help you as you're going through your meetings to really engage your people. So the more people and the more answers you get. Owner seems to be the biggest one. So we have some owners in the room, a builder, realtor, entrepreneur, that probably covers a lot of us, community director, dream, assistant director. So very cool. So, hey, thanks for participating. Now, the great thing about Menti is it's going to give you other ways to get that data that show up in pie charts and graphs and so on. So let's just start by saying welcome. We've got the kind of technical stuff behind us now. That's what slows us up when we do these things. So just really quickly, my background, since I didn't put anything in that box, you've heard a little bit in my intro, so I really don't need to say a lot more. I'm a CEO, founder of an onboarding and training delivery system, and I am currently president of the National Speakers Association North Texas chapter. So excited, busy times for us, but you know what, I'm glad I'm here. But I'd say crazy times, right? Now, here's the hard part of visual. I can't see you shaking your head, so if you want to do one of these, if you agree with me or whatever, that's all good, because that's that interaction we're looking for. It's crazy times. Because we're getting information from so many people, it almost freezes us, because we're getting a guy over here that says, wear a mask, and a guy over here says, oh, that's bad for you. And a guy over here says, I have a vaccine, and a guy over here says, it doesn't work. And right? It could almost freeze us with all this information we're taking in, because we're all trying to make the right choices. I think that's fair to assume. So Linda came to me, and it was before COVID really started, because we were meeting live still, and she said, hey, how would you like to do this? And I said, hey, great. And she said, what do you want to talk about? And I said, shift happens. So the truth is, as was mentioned earlier on the call when we were doing the intros, we're constantly going through a shift. The only thing constant in life is change. That's a true statement. How boring would it be if everything was exactly the same? And so because it's me, I always try to look at definitions. So I wanted to look up what shift was according to Google. Now, shift according to Google is a slight change in position, directions, or tendencies. So I would say this is a bit more than a shift, but I don't like the word pivot, so I'm going to stick with shift, if that's okay. So I do believe, I think it's Napoleon Hill said, we are 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we respond. So when I think about that, where were you on March 12th? You remember? To me, it's a time just like 9/11 or the Columbia Space Shuttle. It's one of those times that I'll never forget. See, I was traveling, I was doing some consulting, still do. I was in Joplin, Missouri. I was at my friend Rick Brown. He owns a Honda store. I've been going there for years, 13, 14 years maybe. And I'd worked all day, and we always go to Longhorn, so we went to Longhorn Steakhouse. I got a salad. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was trying to kind of be good when I'm on the road. And I remember I got done early, and I got back to the hotel like I like to do to get comfortable. and get rested up because I had to be at the Ropakia the next day. Mavericks were on. Imagine that, national televised game. And I remember it was getting close to halftime. And I remember anybody that knows about the Mavericks knows about Mark Cuban because he's kind of vocal. And I remember seeing him on his phone on the sidelines because the camera panned over to him. And he was looking at his phone. And he was like, and then he reached over to somebody next to him and tapped him on the shoulder and was showing him the phone. And then they called a timeout or something. And he went up and he's doing this to people going, look, can you see this? And within a few minutes, the announcers came on and said, hey, the NBA season is now been put on ice. We don't know how long, but basically we're going to put it on hold right now because we don't know. And I thought, maybe this is a bigger deal than I thought. Where were you? Who were you with? Do you remember when that shift started? How did that impact you in the coming days? Some of us, all of a sudden, if you weren't essential, all of a sudden you were remote. You were working from home and you didn't have that hour commute or 45 minutes in the morning and at night. And you found yourself having more time maybe with your family, which was really good, right? Well, hopefully. Or maybe you found more TV time. Or maybe some of you in this meeting, maybe you found more time to invest in yourself. But I don't know how you looked at it. Maybe you thought it would be a couple days and now it's stretched out to 5 or 6 months. But I gotta ask, what did you do with your extra time? I know I ask a lot of questions. These are all pointed back at you because these are all about you. This whole conversation is about how we can do better, prepare for weird shifts, for any shifts for that matter. So did you learn anything? Did you take a class? Did you have, if you're like me, I have lists for everything. Ask my wife, she'll tell you. And I think Linda Yo knows this as well. I have lists for everything. And I had a list of to-do things. And I had something on there that was collecting dust, and that was to learn how to edit video. You see, I knew at some point how important video, and when you're a consultant trainer guy, you find out that video is getting to be real important before COVID yet. And so I worked really hard, and for years I created videos, but I never knew how to edit them. And that editing was on top of my list, and it's the one that was collecting the dust. And so I learned how to edit video. And then I went a step further. I'm going to look in the gallery real quick. How many people have ever shifted from using a PC to a Mac? No, I see a lot of people shaking their head. I see somebody raising their hand. I can't see your name, but how easy was that? Was it real easy? Give me a thumbs up. Was it kind of Yeah, it was, right? So my partner, the partner with my business, said, we both need to use a Mac because he was, and his outcome was much better than mine on my editing tool. And then he said, besides that, we need to go to Final Cut Pro, and you need to learn that too. So that was what I learned. And I think, I don't know why it took me 3 years. It really wasn't hard once I dove in. So, I think it's important that we invest in ourselves. I guess that's what I'm saying. And that's a choice. And, if I could go back 50 years to when I was about 10 years old, the one choice I would make was I would add 15 minutes a day just into taking in some information, a book. think about it, 15 minutes a day for 50 years. How smart would I be? I don't know. So I'm going to read something as I think about it. We make decisions based off of pain and pleasure. Think about that. Pleasure is usually instantaneous, and pain is usually a delayed outcome. So let me use cheeseburgers because I love cheeseburgers. Anybody that knows me, if they say, where are we going to lunch? I go, hey, let's go to Snuffers. That's a great place, right? They got good cheeseburgers, they got cheese fries. How do you go wrong? That's the pleasure. You see, I got a smile on my face when I was thinking about those cheese fries because I like cheese fries. But the delayed reaction on that, and what happens, I get on a scale almost every day and I go, stop. Like, don't go up anymore. Or every 6 to 9 months, I go to my doctor and I listen to my doctor do one of these. we're going to do your blood work. And we looked at it and you've been eating too many cheeseburgers. So see, that's the pain of that poor choice. It's not always instantaneous. But we are individuals are like water, and we take the path of least resistance. We're in a hurry. This happens to me all the time. I'm always in a hurry, it seems like. And I run to the drive-thru, give me a number one, upsize it. I'll take the big fries and big Coke. That's okay. And I'm not even thinking about the outcome down the road. But that's how our decisions are made sometimes. So I'm going to read this because I wrote it out because I thought it was kind of funny. But then I couldn't remember it. I couldn't memorize it because it was confusing. Think about this. So we just said we'd make choices off of pleasure and pain. So it makes me wonder how many choices we make a day. The number seems to be up for debate. It almost sounds political. According to some of you, we must first determine what a thought is, and then determine if that thought was a choice. And if it's not a thought, it could be a choice, or it could have been an unconscious choice, but was that a thought? I think that's a bit confusing if you ask me. Now, let's not forget, if you decide not to choose, that's a choice, and it has its own outcomes as well. All of these choices are determining your destination. So I gotta ask, how many choices, go back to your phones, how many choices do you think you make a day? Boy, that's a lot. Any one of those numbers is a lot, right? There's a couple people I don't have a clue. 50,000, 500,000. I got 3 people so far. Let's get a couple more. Oh, there's 2 there. There's 4. Anybody else want to chime in? Hey, I got to tell you what I found from research, because you guys know I like Google. Google doesn't have a clue. It's all over the board. It's like going back to that mask story. Do I need to wear a mask or not? I don't know. The choices were anywhere from 500,000 or seemed to go up from there. But nobody could really define what that was. I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to get your feedback and see if you felt the same way I did. Not having a clue is okay. So thanks for your honesty. So who planned for the events of 2020? Does anybody raise their hand on that? That's a tough one, right? I'm going to see if I can see more people, because right now I can't see many. There's a few more people. So 2020 has been one of the biggest shifts I can remember in my life. And I know there's people that go back and look at it and try to compare it to the Spanish flu in 1918 and so on. But the problem with that is that flu was so much more, it just happened so much faster. People could wake up in the morning and die by the afternoon. So I don't think that that's a fair, but it's also, this type of a change doesn't happen but every 50 to 100 years. So what a shift it's been. So I have to ask you, what's your biggest concern going into the third quarter or going into next year? So let's see, I think I made that a slide. So, I don't want really anything personal, but what's some things that are out there? Oops. Oh, I skipped a slide, didn't I? Who planned for 2020? I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. The question is, how do you plan for something like this, right? I skipped ahead, didn't I? Yeah, a lot of us never saw this coming. Most of us. Some of you planned, you didn't realize you planned. When I think about it, yeah, like a train on a dirt road. When we think about planning like this, I think we have to go back to the basic things that we deal with in life. Obviously, one of the most important things to be financially secure. Some people did that, not realizing that COVID was going to come up and be an issue. Whether you paid off your house or whether you had extra money in the bank, or or whatever it is that you did, you may have had some ways that you're going to weather this better than other people. But what I'll tell you, when I think about this year, there are going to be people, and maybe people in the room, that are going to have their best year ever this year. Don't tell me the rhyme or reason. Don't know. Can't tell you if it's mindset. Maybe some of it's luck. I don't know. But I can tell you that 10-90 that we talked about, 10% of what happens, 90% how you respond. The people that responded better, the ones that look at the 5 people they're hanging out with the right mindset and the positivity and so on, seem to be thriving a little bit more than the ones that are over talking about COVID, how horrible it is, and so on. So what you're telling yourself is very important right now. So, so let's jump to the next question that I had, since I already threw it out there. What's your biggest concerns heading into 2021? And you don't have to go in depth, just a couple words. Maybe it's the economy, maybe it's whatever. Maybe it's, why am I drawing a blank? Economy comes to mind, obviously. Election year, I like somebody throws that in. That's always an interesting time for us, right? Now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box if there's anything that comes up. Rocky Marvel's on the call, and she's handling that. Is there anything in there, Rock?
No questions yet.
Okay.
Nadia, good to see you here.
Economy, grandchild's birth. What's SAF? Oh, safe? President, economy, election year, health, family. Yeah, those are the important things, right? Well, I want you to think with me a little bit. I'm going to let that populate a little bit more. Who all remembers a few years ago, grandchild's birth, choice, love it. Who remembers Ebola? Yeah, I do. I remember. I remember the police escorted the ambulance that was carrying the one guy to Presbyterian Church. Does anybody else remember that? I do. Okay. Do you remember what happened when they pulled up to Presbyterian Church? To me, it was like a scene out of E.T. So the ambulance driver and his assistant, whatever it was, the other EMT got out, and they were in full hazmat. They had all the plastic to cover on, and this stuck in my mind for some reason because I thought, wow, that's kind of serious. And then the 2 people came out of the door of Presbyterian Church on the wing where they had isolated that wing, which I'd never heard of it other than movies. They would isolate a wing, and they brought that one guy in, and I thought, wow. Now, here's what I remember about it. I remember that our church was about a mile away, and I remember that Sunday going to church, and the attendance was about half, because people were scared. It was unexpected, and people didn't know. And I just remember having a conversation with the senior pastor about it, and and of course he said have faith and so on. But I remember 6 months later, it was forgotten. See, that to me that was a shift. I think we're more like got zonked this time. But that was a shift, and it was slight. It didn't last very long. How many people remember that? Does everybody remember that Ebola deal? Because it wasn't that long ago, but hey, another question. What year was that? A little trivia. Anybody remember? Is it 83, 93, 03? Time goes so fast. Yeah, it's difficult to tell, right? Yeah, it was 2013. It seems like it was 1993 in some ways, right? Can't hardly remember it. So remember what your big concerns were? Are they going to be the same concerns next year that they are this year? So true success is when we can adjust quickly to change or shift. So I'm going to show you another way of how quickly time changes. I'm going to use phones for an example, and I have a variety of phones. Matter of fact, you're going to laugh at the first one. This is as close as I could get because I didn't have a chance to find one on eBay, but this is really resembles what it looked like. So watch this. So if we go back far enough, there was a phone and everybody laughed because it looked like a brick. That Motorola phone, you remember that? And it actually was a little bit longer. Matter of fact, the first time that I saw it was Michael Douglas was in the movie Wall Street. He was, after they found out what a shark he was, and he was on the beach walking, and he had this big phone, and he was talking, looking all cool like Michael Douglas does, right? So that phone came out in 1973. How quickly did things change? So then all of a sudden there was another phone that came out, okay? Small phone. Now, first I want you to think about this. These first phones, this is the first phone and it was expensive when they first come out with that technology. In 1996, Ford Motor Company came up with this great idea, because I used to sell Fords, I remember this, that they had a bag phone and you were tethered to that bag. And it only lasted about 6 months. And these mobile phones started changing. And then somewhere in the early 90s, they come up with the flip phone. Now the flip phone was really cool. Because the flip phone, they started doing things where you could take pictures with your phone. I remember I got a phone once and I dropped it about 6 inches. I was getting out of my car and it just slipped out of my hand about 6 inches. I hadn't had the phone for 24 hours and it broke the crystal of the camera. And I remember going back to the guy and telling him what happened. He said, well, if you'd lie to me, I'll give you a new one. But he said, if you just dropped it, I'm not going to warranty it. I go, okay. So I bought a new phone. But think how fast they changed. Now, I got to tell you, about 25 years ago, I started traveling. Everybody knows what a road warrior is. It's somebody that travels every week. And that was me for a period of time. Okay, what's that? Oh. So other things started happening. They come up with Palm Pilots. Anybody ever had a BlackBerry or a Palm Pilot? Yeah, so you're going back. You guys remember, okay, I'm gonna go way far back. Anybody have a pager? I did. $200 for the year, that was a pretty good deal. You spend more than that a month now on some of these phones. But then you went to iPhone 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I don't know, what are they to, 11 now? And remember how quick these change. This is less than 40 years. The amount of memory and the amount of, I'm trying to think, technology in this phone is as much as was on the Apollo that landed on the moon. Think about that. Isn't that amazing? How fast things change. And they're all shifts. Matter of fact, if you'll think about it, the flip phone, when we got the flip phone and they had a camera, it started out, you could take about 4 pictures and it got to 20 pictures. And then it went from there to the video camera. And when I started traveling, like I was talking about being a road warrior, you see in my bag that I carried when I got on the airplane, I had a camera, I had a phone, I had a video camera, I had a voice recorder for the work I was doing, I had a computer. But isn't it wonderful now? I have most of that right here. Just like my bag. It's a wonderful thing. That's how fast change happens. So the truth is, you're making decisions every day that are determining your outcomes for tomorrow. They're small, tiny tweaks. Your choice creates change, and choices are emotional. I'm going to connect back to what I said earlier about pain and pleasure. That's an emotion. So let's talk about something that I think is really important, because sometimes we think that the change that we make is so insignificant, we don't realize it's like hitting a golf ball. For anybody that's golfed, we all start off on a tee box, and we all start off hoping we can hit that ball straight over and drop it right where we want. And the truth is, most of us hit the ball and it goes this way or this way. And it doesn't, but it's not from the tee. We all start at the same place. It might be 20, 30 yards out before it starts winging out. It's only a little bit at a time. Or think about an airplane. We've all been on airplanes. Do you realize that airplanes off course 98% of the time? Without constant adjustments, the plane taking off in Dallas would end up in St. Louis or New York. So we all need to keep those things. Those adjustments are just choices that are being made for it, keeping them in line. So think about this. I want you to write this next statement down. Advanced decision-making eliminates emotion. It sounds simple, but it's a learned skill. Some people ask me how I make decisions so quick. It's because I eliminate so much stuff because I already know what's acceptable and what's not. So to me, it's easy to move forward with decisions many times. So I'm going to use an example that's a little bit extreme, but I really want to drive home this point because I think it's important and I think we can relate this to your business, your personal life, and so on. So I'm going to use an example of a struggling addict. They want to go get clean, and maybe they're a relative, and they come to you and they need help. Now here's what I've heard from professionals. Professionals say that they've seen people take their whole life savings, second mortgage their house, basically bankrupt themselves, unseat their lives, trying to help somebody. Again, it could be mother, brother, sister, cousin, aunt, a good friend, whatever it is. But see, what happened was they didn't set guidelines for themselves. They didn't set expectations. You see, I can help somebody get some help, but we don't always see the big picture because once they've been through 30 or 45 days of rehab or whatever it is, we got to think about the other parts of that are involved. I mean, they didn't get in that situation without some other things happening, like there's unpaid bills, maybe tickets, warrants, and we're not even taking into account they need a driver's license, a good, proper ID, they need a phone, and they need transportation in order to get work. So let's go back to what we said about this. Advanced decision-making eliminates emotions. So if we go in and we say, I'll spend X number of dollars and I'll do this, this, and this, you know in advance you don't have to deviate from that. It just takes that emotion out if you will stick to your guns. And this is the same with your business as it is your personal life or anything else that you get into. I use that example because I think it's extreme, but it's true. If you don't set the expectations up front, you can easily, because we're compassionate, loving people, you can easily be drawn away from what's most important for you, because we all need to take care of ourselves first before we can take care of anybody else. So I hope that wasn't too extreme for anybody, but I hope everybody got the understanding about setting expectations. Make a plan, share it with the people that are involved. If you're married, obviously share it with your spouse or whatever, but it's so important. And I think that's as true whether we're hiring an individual to go work for us, whether it's our kids, even our pets. See, even our pets want to do the right thing, and sometimes they don't know because we haven't set the expectations for them. Where's my dog at? I know she's here somewhere. So I have to ask real quick. I'm going to skip another one of my slides. I tried to cut my slides back. How important is mindset to you? I'll give you another question. So go back to your phones. So do you read affirmations daily? Sometimes I think it's a good idea. Hey, you know what? Who's wasting their time with that? I can get an extra 5 minutes of sleep. What's an affirmation? Is there anything in the chat box, Rob?
Nadia says 100% and yes.
Nice. I read daily. I love this. We got people that, Rocky and I read affirmations daily. So I like that. So thanks. Makes us feel good, like we're normal somewhat. honored in on time. For what's an affirmation? Who said what's an affirmation? We'll help you. Stick around. So I'm going to talk about mindset for a minute because I think it's really important. I'm going to talk about it. A few years ago, I was in Boise, Idaho. For those of you that don't know where it is, it's a long way from here. And I was going in to do some consulting in a Ford store, and the GM had been in Detroit the day before for some meetings, and he was flying back that morning. I remember he came in and he kind of had his tie was over his shoulder, and he was like he was out of breath running. And the meeting starts about 9 o'clock, and I remember him standing up and saying he was so glad that he didn't have to go, because it would have taken him 3 weeks to a month to get from Detroit to Boise, Idaho. And then he began to talk about this plane flight that he was on. You see, he got on this plane like, well, for me, okay, I'm going to be honest, if I can sleep on a plane every time, I will, because that's rest time for me. He said he got on the plane and he had one seat over to the left and there was an aisle, and then he was in the middle seat and there was a guy on his right. And he said the guy on his right, as soon as he sat down, the guy started telling these stories. It was miserable. It was horrifying. The guy was talking about how horrible his business was. And these are all Ford dealers working in the same industry with the same guidelines as everybody else. And he's just talking about how he's losing money every month and how bad his people are, and and it's just wearing out. This goes on for 45 minutes. And the guy finally runs out of gas and kind of gets quiet. Bill notices on the other side of the aisle, the gentleman sitting right next to him across the aisle is having a conversation with somebody behind him. Guess what his conversation is? It's the best year ever. I'm having a record month. My people are so amazing. I could be gone for 2 weeks and never even know it. What's the difference in those two guys? And could it be mindset? So Bill spent the next hour or so on the flight back just processing what he heard. He determined that it was mindset, and I agree with him. So think about your mindset for a moment. It's tough. COVID has ravaged our economy and turned our lives upside down. Many of us are out of our comfort zone, but there are others that will flourish and have the best year ever. And we have to ask ourselves why. So it goes back to simple decisions we make. I think about this question, what's your future based on? And I think of 2 points as I start to close out. Decision making is up to you. If you don't make a decision, one will be made for you because time doesn't stand still. Once somebody makes that decision for you, it's out of your control. So advanced decision making is your friend. Mindset, what you think about expands. Think about these books as man thinketh. Acres of Diamonds. I'm leaving another one out that I was thinking about. But, thinking great thoughts can lead to great things. You're going to go down the road that you think. If you're thinking negative thoughts, if you're having a horrible day and you just continue to go down that rabbit hole, it's not going to get better by chance. It's going to get better by choice. So these books, the key takeaways, you have the power of choice. You control your mindset. Remember, shift is going to happen. Shift's going to happen. Are you going to be ready? Thank you. Oh, thank you. Everybody's muted, so I'm talking to myself. That's kind of weird.
Hey, one book that Nadia recommended is 28 Days of Affirmations. So I just wanted to.
Good. So thank you guys for having me. If anybody wants to know about Mentimeter, jump on there. You can email me or text me. We'll get your email or whatever, and we'll reach out to you. I'm happy to spend a few minutes on it. It's something we've been toying with just for engagement. So you can see the colors and stuff, and the word montages are fun to play with. So how many people by chance, and I'm I have a camera over here and I'm looking at my computer now so I can see you guys. Matter of fact, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so maybe I can see the whole gallery. Ah, there we are. Holy smoke. We got a good room full of people. How many people are putting on virtual? Actually, I'm going to go one step further. Hang on, I'll be right back. There we are. So how many of you are putting on virtual presentations by show of hands? 1, 2, 3. Whoa, almost everybody. And is that Marv down there? He's going, no way, dude. Okay. Did you like Mentimeter? Was it kind of a good thing? Has anybody used that before? Okay. So you can go to mentimeter.com. So there's 2 different sites. Menti.com is for the users. And Mentimeter.com is where you go and build the slides. Now, okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to share. Do we have can you tell me if I have a couple extra minutes?
Sure.
Who's in charge of this mess? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go into Mentimeter and we're going to build a couple slides. Is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, and I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't see.
Can't
There we
do
go.
that.
So I'm going to share my screen again. Let's go back here. Actually, let's go here. I'm going to, if it lets me. Okay, so when you go into Mentimeter, actually, I'll tell you what, let's do this. Well, I'll go back home. Let's go home. Okay, so when you open this up, now I think the free version will let you build 1 or 2 different presentations and they'll just give you a couple. So I'm just going to make this a test. And I have never done this quite like this, so if I mess up, you guys just erase the video. And you guys can unmute because if you want to ask questions as we go. So here's a point where I've got my first slide, and I get to go over here and choose the way I want it to come out. So the word cloud's what we used on one of ours. You see how it takes the words? So the words that are used the most are the largest. So that's really cool. It's one of my favorites. Now, the great thing now I paid $50 for the year or something. I forget what it is. It's not very much. But you can take all these and they'll create PDFs for you or JPEGs that you can share. So I'll take what we had and I'll send these back. I've got Linda's email. But you can see the different ways that you can go out and ask questions. So you can rank them. Q&A. You can make a competition if you want. I haven't played with that much. If you have content slides, you can go in and just create different things. So let's do this. It's going to let me type in a question was, did you have fun? And you get to enter it 3 times. I guess I picked the wrong idea for that one, but that's fine. But then you just go and add another slide. Whatever you want to do, and you go, okay.
Nadia has a question.
Okay.
Nadia wants to know if you can build it in PowerPoint first and then download it here.
You know what? There's a way to import and export in here. I have not done it before. So if you look, can you see my mouse where it's at?
Mm-hmm.
So I have not done it. So I hate to even try to display it because it sounds like a train wreck getting ready to happen. But here's the deal. You can go in and play. It's free. So go in and do whatever you want in here and go, okay, so if I had a multiple choice, this is for my meeting Saturday. So maybe, no. I just want you to see how quick and easy it is to build slides. So I'm going to move something around. So if I want to present that, now here's the thing, when you build them, and I keep moving toolbars around, if you go to menti.com, which is where we talked about, now the other thing you can do, there is a QR code for those of you that know what a QR code is. You can put your phone up. I don't know, matter of fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to put my phone up and see if it takes me right into this. Oh, it has to have the QR code. Wait a minute. Let me see if we can find it real quick. Go back one more. I think it's down here. Where did I put it at? Configure, examples. Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. Under share. There's a link, QR code. And I don't know why it didn't give me a QR code, but that's where it's at. It's in the share. So let's see, present. So again, we could go in and log in and we could answer these questions. It allows you, this was a little bit of a learning lesson for me because I had not used it live before. So did you have fun? And then you could answer it. That's that word montage deal. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. I was experimenting a bit with you guys. So are there any questions, anything I can answer? Y'all are all quiet because you're all muted.
Yeah, this is the Q&A part, so ask away questions for Tim.
Is there a cost associated with this program?
Say again?
Is there a cost associated with using this Menti program?
There's a free version. That's why I said go in and play with that at mentimeter.com, and then it'll tell you the different levels. I paid for the first level, and I don't think it was $50, I think, for the year. But I figured it was worth the investment if you're doing a lot of virtual stuff. I do quite a bit right now. What was I going to say? I was going to say something else. If anybody is interested,
Tim.
what's that?
It was most interesting, and I liked the presentation. Thank you for coming. That was wonderful. I don't know if anybody has more questions, but please ask.
I do. I have 7 different books, and they're based on mindset and really challenging yourself. I believe everybody, if we look in the mirror, that we can be better than who we are today. But it's not major tweaks. It's just tiny decisions we make throughout the day that's going to change where you end up 10 years from now.
Yep.
So, okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Bye.
Yes, thank you, Tim. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Steve, iPad Pro.
This meeting sponsor is Ariel Point Senior Living. Julie, would you like to introduce our sponsor?
Sure. Jenny Knudsen, Executive Director for Area Point. I see she's on the call. Jenny, do you want me to go ahead and cue that video up first and then let you say a few words?
Absolutely, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. And thanks again for sponsoring this program. We really appreciate your support for the Chamber. I will go ahead and share my screen and cue it up. So. Oh, hold on a second. I thought I had that here. One second. I have that here. Okay, can everyone see that? All right, I'm going to start the video. Okay, Jenny, you want to go ahead and say a few words?
Yes, absolutely. And I apologize if you hear a beep in the background. They are testing our fire systems right now. I am here and we are trying to open up Area Point Senior Living here in the next, hopefully 3 weeks, y'all. Senior living community that is here to have an active lifestyle for our seniors out in Saxe. So we're right off of George Bush and Miles Road. We're going to have independent living and assisted living, and we'll have memory care. So a lot of y'all might not know what senior living is, but it's just a place where we can assist people with different activities of daily living, like medication management and dressing, grooming, and we add in a whole bunch of life engagement. So activities and things that we can keep people engaged in. And so we're excited to have our new property opening soon. We've been building it for a while now. I know a lot of y'all have been watching, and I apologize for that video being a little choppy. The internet pushing it through was a little bit off, but I hope you guys got a good view of what it's going to be. And I really encourage y'all to go to our Facebook page and look up Aerial Point. And you can click like on there and you can see a lot of the videos that we do have that'll be a little smoother for you as well going through. That I hope we can see you guys soon and talk to you a little bit more about what we do, and also that we are prepared, by the way. I know part of the topic was being prepared, and we are prepared to help families through the different lifestyle that COVID's been bringing even to the senior living aspect.
Perfect. Thank you for coming. Does anyone have any questions for Jenny?
That's not a part of my 2 minutes.
Perfect. So thank you for being our sponsor this morning. Do we have any city or state officials that we would like to recognize? I see Miss Maggie Smith with Van Taylor's office. Do we have any new members or visitors today? Looks like they're all familiar faces. Oh, yes.
Hi, everybody. I am introducing, get you a little closer.
We don't have a mask on.
We don't have our mask on. But this is Mary Jane McConnell. She is my assistant director for the Bridgemore at Plano, which will be opening a little bit after Aerial Point, apparently. Anyway, I'm excited. She started yesterday. I've worked with her in the past at another independent active senior community that we worked at together, and she has 20 years experience in the industry in luxury senior living and tax credit. So she's going to be my assistant, and I'm super excited. I'm glad
to be here.
Wonderful
Great
to have you.
thanker.
Thanks for coming. So Steve, do you have any updates for us?
Well, we're still in limbo over Maze Days. It's my understanding that next, I believe it's Tuesday or Wednesday, the City Council of Murphy will be meeting to determine whether or not Maze Days is going forward. Many of you know that Maze Days, we have our pumpkin chunkin', where we have a giant slingshot that we put pumpkins in and toss them at some floats that are down in the pond. And that is our biggest fundraiser. So we may be in jeopardy of really undershooting what we need every year to generate the $9,000 that we need for our scholarships. So I will be getting in touch with some of you. We have some people that have committed to make a donation regardless of whether Pumpkin Chunkin' goes forward or not. Typically, it's $150 to sponsor a float. And of course, you get a big sign there, lots of recognition on our social pages. And then we also ask for $100. In the past, we had people donating $100 worth of prizes. Most people were opting for us to purchase the prizes. So it's typically $250. I see a number of you on here that have done that in the past, and we appreciate it. But like I said, we do have a few commitments. We do have a title sponsor. The title sponsor is Sampak Auto Group again, and they have really stepped up their contribution, and we will actually be naming one of our scholarships after them. So that is something new that we're doing this year. If you would like to have a scholarship named after your corporation or family or whoever it may be, we are accepting $1,500 donations that will cover that scholarship. And of course, that will be talked up and advertised everywhere as well throughout the year as we talk about scholarships, as we give out the scholarships. For instance, the new scholarship will be the Sampak Auto Group Scholarship. So any assistance is, I know it's tough for everybody this year. It's a tough year with COVID. A lot of businesses have been affected. But we really ask if there's anything that you could donate, $1, $2, $10, $100. That would be wonderful. Like I said, we do have a couple of businesses that have said if Pumpkin Chunkin does not go forward, that they are going to donate $150 anyway and be a sponsor. So please, if you can afford it and you feel like your heart says that you'd really like to help out the kids of Murphy, we would appreciate all the help that you have. So we'll know more next Thursday. Yes, Linda.
Where would we send a check, to you or to the chamber, or where?
Okay, so the checks would be to the Murphy Chamber or MCOC Scholarship Foundation, and that can be mailed to Julie at our P.O. box that's on the website. Okay. So the checks are mailed to the same place that all Murphy Chamber correspondence goes to.
Okay.
Another easy way to help, and I've been doing this for quite a few months, is if you buy something from Amazon, there's something called Smile. And it's not a lot with every purchase, but especially this year, I bought a lot more on Amazon than I have in the past, and that all adds up. So that's another way to give to the Scholarship Foundation with something that you're already doing, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. And then we have some other thoughts that will be coming on down the road, some other fundraisers that cost you nothing other than what you may be doing. So those things have not been set up yet. We're probably going to get those set up in time for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So stay tuned for that. We're just trying to be real creative. And I see Sherry would like to add something as well.
Yes, September 17th is Giving Day in North Texas. Will be set up on our website. So if you'd like to go in for the and donate that day to our scholarship fund, any amount would be helpful, and we'd really appreciate it.
And that will be posted on all of our social websites.
Yes.
Well, thank you everybody for coming. Oh, do you have something else, Steve?
No, I was just saying then thank everybody for that.
Perfect. If you can donate to the Scholarship Foundation, we sorely need your donations as we're working on shifting from one event to another. Julie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I just wanted to announce that we had several ambassadors on the call, and ambassadors are very important to our chamber, and I just wanted to say thank you. We have Linda Yo, we have Sherry Searcy, and Sammy Hampton, who's on the call. So we really appreciate what you do, and I just wanted to recognize you in front of everyone today. It's a very vital role for our chamber. Thank you so much.
Well, we appreciate y'all spending your time with us, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank
Y'all have
you.
a great day.
Great presentation.
Great day. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.